All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the channel. If you guys are here, don't forget to hit that like button for the live streams. So that way we get the word out that we are live. That's the way the YouTube algorithm picks everything up. All right. So it's been a minute since I've done a live stream, almost a year and 4 months since I've done a live stream. This is the first one I've done out in the barn. You can see the grow rooms right behind me. So we've got uh, some technicalities to probably work out, so bear with me. If anything audio wise is going wrong, just leave it in the chat session. Y'all jump in the chat, ask me a question. I'm going to run down how our harvest went here on the farm, how everything's going, what to anticipate going forward here. And like I said, if you guys have questions, now's a good time. Leave them in the chat and I will get to them towards the end of the stream. All right, so what's going on here at the farm? We just wrapped up harvest. Thanks for all the new subscribers and checking out our harvest videos. It's been a lot of fun talking to everybody in the comments section on the harvest videos. But let's talk about how our harvest went, and then leave it in the chat how your harvest went. Our harvest went really, really well. You know, I did get stressed out a little bit towards the end with the weather. But overall, we had a great harvest. Plants were really, really healthy. You know, the speed of the harvest was something I'm not really used to. You know, in years past, we've had 4 different varieties or 6 different varieties. This year, due to regulations, we had one variety, and the harvest went maximum 10 days. It really went really fast. So that was fun and surprising, and I really enjoyed that part of it. The plant health, going back out into the field, and you guys will see tomorrow's video. Go out into the field after harvest, and I always look at the stumps. They did fairly well. I wouldn't say they were the best, but overall, uh, they had decent health. One thing I noticed about the plants that you'll see in tomorrow's video is that the stems were not as thick as I like, and that was because the plants were stretching. You can see there's a lot more overgrowth than in years past, and I really attribute the smaller stems to them stretching for the light. But overall, the plants did really, really well. So let's talk about next season. What do we plan on doing next season? I've got a lot of questions about if we're going to do another variety, and a lot of emails about it for our customers. And we're looking into it. To build a second field is complicated. Uh, just soil alone is something I have to start planning now in November, just like we did last season with the worm castings and with Coast of Maine and all the uh, lobster compost. So that there's a lot to go into it. Next year's a whole nother season, but believe it or not, we're already planning, and that's it takes a long time. So I don't know if we'll have a second field next year or not. As far as doing 2 varieties of what we produce here, we'll constantly do our 4, and that leads me into what we're doing this winter. So our indoor grow is going to start probably in the next 3 to 4 weeks. Really kind of taking a break, trying to just take this time between the 2 seasons and clean everything up. You know, was able to get this set up in the barn. I got a new computer a year ago, and this is the first live stream I've done with it. So it's taken a long time to get to this point. Still got a long way to go to get everything set up. You know, I'm sitting right next to my grow room, so I've got a little bit more to do on that front. But let's talk about some of the new things you're going to see in the upcoming indoor season. We have done a new deal with a company called Grow Ace. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Grow Ace, but they are a huge distributor, and they sent us a hydroponic system that will be premiering on the channel very soon. I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be a new adventure this indoor season. I've never done hydroponics. I have no idea what I'm getting into. So it'll be fun. It's kind of going back to square one. It goes back to the challenge of learning everything new. And I get a lot of those questions on the channel. You know, what do I do? What do I do? And sometimes you're so far removed from just learning that you can't relate. But this time, I'm going back to the basics. So it'll be fun to learn along with you guys. And if you guys grow in hydro, leave it in the chat, leave it in the comments section. I do want to hear from you guys what to expect, what maybe I should do differently. But it's a cool system. We also did another deal with Grassroots Fabric Pots. They've been a sponsor of the channel now for just about a year. We did fantastic with them this grow season. I know I didn't show them a lot, and I really do regret not showing the big grow pots that we had with the plants, but things just got carried away, and I just, you know, you forget to film some of that stuff. But hopefully in the near future we'll have some more on that. I don't know what's wrong with this camera, keeps focusing. Hopefully that'll stop it. Let's talk about some new nutrients that we're trying out for the indoor grow season. Also provided by our friends at Grow Ace. Lotus nutrients. I know a lot of growers seem to really like Lotus. I'm really excited about it. It's a 5-step nutrient for the hydroponic system that we were sent. So really excited about that. Really want to see how all that works. This is the first time I've stepped out of the organic arena now in probably 3 years. We've been doing all organic for 3 years or so. So that'll be interesting to see that response with the plants and doing something totally new with the hydroponics. And the cool thing about this system is if the hydroponics don't work out, this system does work with soil. I see a comment in there is just soil for me. I've always been a soil guy, so the hydroponics is going to be new for me. I'm really excited to get that started here in the next couple weeks. And that's pretty much what I have to tell you guys. I'm reading the chats. You know, Dave, I got somebody, Steve from Toronto, Corey, Captain, loves soil and outdoors. It's funny. I don't know if the subscribers in the chat are watching today. They commented on quite a few videos yesterday, airing their grievances. They dropped a few explicit, so YouTube picked it up, but I actually approved it and put it out there for everybody to see. It was somebody airing their frustrations on the outdoor grow. They had a lot of mold issues. They had all kinds of issues. They were done. They were finished. No more outdoor. I see, you know, outdoors for them. Soil, Southern California. That's good to see. We got California and Canada in here. It's crazy for people all over the world. North Carolina. That's not too far away, Eddie. We're here in Virginia. But nice, beautiful weather here in the Southeast lately. Been really enjoying some nice fall weather here. Steve, new to growing in Toronto. Well, you've got a long road ahead of you. And stay around for indoor grow, because I have a feeling you guys up in Canada have a very short grow season up there. So it'd be you want to stick around for our indoor grow. The season was hard, but great yield. That's good to hear, Captain. Yeah, so going back to that subscriber that kind of commented on a bunch of videos that we had recently to harvest the mold, and they were airing their grievances. You know, it's tough. You know, it's hard. I talk a little bit about it in tomorrow's video about growers fatigue. I think I'm going to do a whole video on growers fatigue. I think it's something I've really noticed this year with a lot of folks is, you know, you get kind of beat down. Maybe things didn't shake out the way you thought, or maybe you got to harvest and walked into your room and found a whole bunch of mold, or it's just not what you thought, and you get that like kind of down feeling. That's kind of when you have to push through. Like our first season, you know, we didn't know what we were doing here on the farm. We just went with it, and it worked out. And we're continuing now for 4 seasons, and I'm still learning every season. You know, every season is a new adventure, and weather constantly changes that for us. So it's something I'm going to talk about here in the future is growers fatigue, because I'm seeing a lot of it in my email and in the comment sections. That I see a lot of you guys commenting now. So you got outdoor grow was hot, wish could have been maybe a couple more weeks. Yeah, Eddie, if you're in North Carolina, it's funny. Our strain that we grow here on the farm for the farm purposes is from North Carolina. It's actually from they call it the Raleigh Triangle. It's somewhere down there, and it does really well. But a lot of our southeast strains flower a little earlier, and I noticed that it's typically the first week of October is harvest for me, and I think that is because we get a lot of late fall rain, and it gets cooler, and that humidity is not really good for the plants, and especially if you're coastal like me, you get a lot of humidity, and that can really mess with those flowers. So, Eddie, it's hard. Sometimes you got to change up your strains if you wanted a couple more weeks. But for me, I'm very happy that those plants were ready to go the first week of October. I don't like fighting the cold weather and the humidity. It's not. I've had issues with it in the past with other strains, so I really enjoyed being done by October 9th this year. That was our last day of harvest, and we met all the requirements for the state, to keep going with that. So that was awesome. And the 30-day thing for the state from testing when we got approved to harvest was smooth sailing. No issues there. Let's see. We got some other comments. We got Pittsburgh. All right. Well, it's probably cold up there. Getting ready for the indoor grow up there for sure. Sometimes looking for indoor. Okay, Steve. Yeah, you're Toronto. Yeah, we're going to be doing some indoor stuff here really soon. But you can see the grow room right here behind me. Getting that set up, getting that ready. I've got some Coast of Maine soil going in there. I'm just trying to organize everything. Like I said, this is the time period for me where I take a breather for a few weeks because I'm growing 365 days a year. There's mother plants in there now, so it's time for me to just take a couple weeks break. But we'll be back to it right around Thanksgiving. Is kind of my goal to start the indoor grow and hopefully finish it by the 1st of April. So giving myself about a solid 4 or 5 months to wrap it up and kind of go through it. So we'll be doing soil and hydro. So it's not going to just be hydro with that new system. Let's see. Can I send some pics? Yeah, Captain. To answer your question, you can send pictures to the email. Usually, I have an email is in the description, or you can find it on pretty much any video on the channel. But I'm going to say this: I'm flooded and inundated with emails. I'm still catching up, so it may be a while before I get to you. But I always enjoy talking to folks. But that's the only way you can send pictures. There's no way on YouTube, but feel free. I just don't know when I can get to them. It's been really busy. Just bowls still hanging up, some in the tub and some. That's good to hear, Corey. Yeah, mine are still behind me. I got this curtain behind me, but if I open that up, you're going to see a wall up and down the entire barn still drying. If you listen closely, I'm sure you can hear the big fans going. So it's not hard to do a live stream in the barn, but this is where we're at. Let's see. How many acres do you grow, Steve? A good question. We grow 1/10 of an acre. And I know that seems small for an industrial farm, but when it's just me and I harvest everything by hand, so no machines, that tractor doesn't really do much for us during harvest other than help put some stuff up in the rafters or something, but it doesn't do anything with the plant. 1/10 of an acre is what we're registered for. If I were to expand, it would maybe be another 1/10 of an acre. and I honestly contemplate how I would even accomplish it because it's so labor intensive. You only have 30 days to harvest. Um, and I'm just not going to have the overhead that it requires to do a large field. Farm sustainable as is. We do make some money. We're able to keep it going. That's the goal. I have a day job to obviously keep my farm going, but I like to make sure that the farm itself is sustainable, and it is. So I don't know if we'll expand, but yeah, 1/10 of an acre is what we're growing right now. Uh, Going 3 or 4 days. Let's see. Steve, hard dealing with all the regulations. Yeah, and every year it's a carousel, Steve, of regulations. I don't know what it's like in Canada, um, but in the States, it's been an absolute nightmare. Every year is a new thing. I'm really hoping there's nothing that I've heard that's going to change this upcoming year. So it looks like this year is going to rotate into next year. And there hasn't been any rumblings of any type of change. Status quo for 2023. And honestly, this year, once I figured everything out, wasn't hard. The separate field for separate varieties is a little bit of a pain for me because I have to build a second field. I don't have a second field ready for our crop, so that's the challenge. But overall, um, it's not too bad. Hopefully, it doesn't change too much. Let's see. Escaped the strong winds this season. Well, that's good to hear. We did as well. Um, well, not necessarily. I guess Hurricane Ian did come up the coast and clip Virginia after it nailed everybody else below us. Um, but this year, I learned from previous years. It goes back to learning as you go. Went out, topped all the plants, made sure that they weren't super heavy, and we only had 2 broken branches from Hurricane Ian, so we didn't really escape any major damage from the winds. Had that storm come up a week prior, we wouldn't able to cut the plants. I think we would have had a lot more damage on our hands. So I'm thankful that we were able to get everything in and keep the plants from having any sort of sustained damage. It's live in the Mojave Desert. Woo, 113, hot and dry. That is so opposite of what we have here, Corey, that I couldn't recommend anything. I do know that not promoting my own stuff or anything, but we had a couple customers that live out in Arizona that have done well, even with the stuff that we do here. So, or the plants that we grow here. So I don't know if I think 113 is rough. You can't have a cold weather maybe variety, but I think it really comes down to how well you take care of it, what the different strategies is. I'm pretty sure this thing can grow everywhere. And certain varieties do better, but I do not know what variety would do well with 113. That's so opposite. I mean, we get hot days here, but the humidity, I would assume in the Mojave, uh, there's no humidity, so I have no idea. And they call that the dry heat. What are you growing indoor? Good question, Eddie. We are going to grow our 4 indoor. I may not do all 4. Last year, towards the end, having the 4 kind of got to be a little bit of a carousel as the outdoor growing season picked up, and that's the farm's bread and butter. So I made sure I got to focus on that, Eddie. But we will be doing at least 2. We do have a sponsor for the indoor grow. It's a company called Seedsman. We got a bunch of varieties. I'm actually going to put it up to a vote in a future video or do a poll in the community tab here on YouTube to see which ones you guys want to do, which 2. I think I'm going to put that up for a vote, and we'll just do 2 out of the 4 or 3 they sent me. I don't remember how many they sent. I wish I had them out here with me, but yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do our 4, and then of course we'll have our mother plants hibernating over winter in there. those will be in the grow bags, I believe. So those will be in soil, and those will be in the Grassroots Fabric pots. Just kind of doing their thing as they do every winter, just living the life until it gets warm again. Let's see. I have 2 grow rooms, about 4x4 each. Not sure if I'll do soil or hydro yet, Steve. Well, I'll tell you what, I've only done soil, but we're about to dive into some hydro. So make sure you stick around for our indoor growth season. Um, I'm really excited to get that started. So we'll see. We'll see how that all plays out. But soil, I love soil. You can't go wrong with it. I like following your tips. You're a big help. Well, thanks, Gladiator. I appreciate that. I try. Do you wash your harvest? Oh boy, that's a debate, Captain. I love the name, by the way, because I am a captain. So no, the answer is no. We do not wash here on the farm. I meticulously go through every branch of every plant. There's not a branch I do not touch as it comes into the barn. So if I see anything suspicious, compost. And so no, we don't wash. I've made videos on in the past. I talked about it in a recent video. It's such a hot button issue, and people just lose their minds over that topic of washing versus not washing, hydrogen peroxide versus no hydrogen peroxide, and what's healthy and what's not healthy, and I stay away from it now. So to answer your question, Captain, no, we don't here on the farm. Folks do. I'm not recommending anything. I'm not diving in on that side of the thing. I've treaded those waters, and it backfires every time. Try to give folks, any type of advice on that. But no, we don't wash. Eddie, Ian wasn't bad here in Wilmington. Oh, Wilmington, okay. Well, that's good. That's good. In Wilmington, I'm surprised you didn't get much wind down there. I guess the Outer Banks didn't get hit too bad either, which is just south of here in Virginia, but just south of Virginia Beach. Don't much grow in the Mojave. I know that. That's a good point, Eddie. Not much does grow in the Mojave. King, well, thanks for stopping by, King. JC, do you dry trim or wet trim, and why? So I do both, and I'll tell you why I do one of each. One is out of necessity, one is out of preferred. I prefer to wet trim, and the reason being is, JC, is that wet trimming seems to speed up the dry and reduce any type of encounter with mold or mildew. Dry trimming, the reason I do that is because I'm pulling it out of the field at a rapid rate and don't have time to trim. So before Hurricane Ian came up the coast, we just cut plants and put them on the rack. There was no trimming. So those will have to be dry trimmed and inspected later on. If I have time and if things are ideal, I do wet trim. I prefer it. I love getting the moisture off the branches. That's just my preferred method. So hopefully that answers the question on that. But I do prefer a wet trim over a dry trim. That's just, I think it's just a better product. Matt, Steve, what is the purpose of washing? It's for a variety of reasons. A lot of folks do it to reduce the risk of any type of mold spores. So what they'll do is they create a bath with hydrogen peroxide and water, and they soak the flower for however many minutes and then dry it. And then they just hang it up and dry it. So that it's really for the mold reason. Folks do it outdoor grow. You've got, insects or caterpillars or, any type of residue left from the caterpillars, anything like that. There's other reasons too, but the main reason is going to be mold. Let's see. Let's see. JC, me too, brother. Thanks for the reply. No problem, man. Hopefully, I want to answer everybody's questions as much as I can. Devin Jones, here in Williamsburg, we'll help out and learn if I ever need it. Well, Devin, unfortunately, we're done right now, but I appreciate the offer. We do not let a lot of folks come out to the farm. We're starting to ease up a little bit. It has nothing to do with what happened for the last 2 years. It's more of a farm liability thing. But we may expand. We may allow more on the farm. It's where I live, so I'm always very cautious about who comes out here on the farm. But I do appreciate the offer. We do have a list of volunteers that come out here and work their butts off, and a big shout out to them if they're watching. Thank you so much for coming out here. They really do make the farm work. They love it. We cook for them. We have a great time. So I do appreciate the volunteers that we have out here. Let's see, Eddie. Some people freak out knowing it could be dirt, dust, spider webs, and such. Yeah, Eddie, that's a great point. Of why people wash. I think the quality control just needs to be there. I think what the biggest problem is, and I'm not perfect. I think what a lot of it is folks refusing to throw something away. I think it's a desperation shot. A lot of times, I feel like when folks are washing the flower, it means that there's something wrong with the plant. Either they didn't do something right, or something went wrong, or it didn't, a bug got in there, or mold got in there, or the wrong variety. They grew the wrong variety, and it was just a whole mess of mold, and they're trying to salvage what they can. That's usually what I see with washing. Um, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that's typically what folks do when they're washing it. They're washing it because something's wrong, not just to wash it. I mean, if you look at a perfectly good plant, there's no need to wash it. So I do notice that the outdoor growers do it way more than the indoor. So good point, Eddie. I think people do just freak out, but they freak out on both ends, right? Because you got the folks that don't wash and think the people who do wash are crazy. So I stay away from it as much as I can. I let people duke it out, over who's right or who's wrong. I'm not here to say who's right or who's wrong. But if that's everybody's questions, I think I'm going to wrap it up here in a little bit. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat. Let's talk about what we have planned for the future as far as videos go. So there's been some stuff going on here on YouTube. Our channel's been doing well, very well, and I appreciate all the new subscribers. But we've had some issues with videos, and when I say that, I mean, YouTube's been having issues with videos. So I'm considering starting a second channel. I'll put a poll out. See, it's going to pretty much be for the plants. What we're really getting hung up on the channel is all the restrictions, deleting videos. I mean, we just had one deleted from the channel about 2 days ago. Tried to appeal it. They didn't want to listen. So I think we're going to end up moving a lot of the plant centric content. Like, so when you want to see the plants, you're going to have to go to this channel. And I think that's just a smarter move for the channel. So that's something that's coming up. I want to, maybe gauge what everybody thinks, if they would even go over to that other channel, if it would just flop. But I really do want to preserve this channel because there's such a wealth of knowledge over the years. It's kind of like a big diary for me. I love going back and looking at stuff. So, I will put out a poll, but I think this channel will be splitting into at least another channel and possibly a third channel. I'm not ready to talk about what the third channel will be about, but there will be some new content coming to this channel, and we'll see if we'll split it off into a new one. JC, what is most yield you've ever gotten off of one plant this year? Is my first, and I'm right down the road from you. I'm not sure yet because I had mine in pods, so I was able to bring inside. It's hard for me to get a yield off of one plant because when I'm talking in the field, for the most part, I'm talking priority harvesting. So I don't really harvest one plant at a time. I don't weigh it. I would have to say that the best year was last year. I had a plant that just got massive, and it was planted on top of a pile of compost. It was on the back side of the field where we put all the compost at the end of the year. I have a large field that you guys have seen if you've seen where I put in my like sunflowers and stuff. When we mow that, we actually take all the hay and we use that as compost. And when I planted the plant on top of that the following year, the thing just got massive. I would say wet weight at least 3 pounds and dried weight probably close to a pound. That plant was massive. I mean, it was probably all of 7 feet wide and 7 feet tall. It was a very massive plant. I have a few pictures of it. It made a few appearances in videos. It was just living on a compost pile. It was absolutely massive. So yeah, I would say dry weight about a pound. It was huge. That was last year. I didn't have a plant that rivaled that plant this year. A lot of these plants were very airy. You know, they were big and bushy. Their yields were good. I would say probably quarter pound to half a pound per plant this year. And wet weight probably 1.5 to 2 pounds. I mean, some of the big plants probably had 2 pounds. Most of them probably around 1.5. I mean, there was a few small plants out in the field this year. So best yield, wet weight 3 pounds probably. It was a big plant last year. And the plants that we brought from inside this spring to outside had a great yield, but I'm not going to count it because they all went to mold. I'm going to talk about that in another video too, that they just struggled. I think I talked about it a little bit over the summer, but they were flowering and the longest day of the year. So June 21st, they were flowering. So just crazy, absolutely crazy. I'll talk about that, but a good question, JC. Appreciate it. And I hope you're having a good grow yourself. Something was good. Yeah, JC, I appreciate you understanding. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to split the channel. That's just going to have to happen. So hopefully, y'all who support the channel will go over there that love seeing the plans, and those of you that just love the tips and don't care about the plans will hang around this channel. But yeah, unfortunately, that split is going to occur. It's actually going to occur pretty soon, probably right when the grow starts. So in a month or so, I'm getting channels set up and email set up. It'll be good to have a dedicated email for that channel too, because you guys will be able to direct your questions about the plants to that email, and it won't be flooded with the current channel's email that has customers and folks asking questions and all kinds of business related stuff coming through that email. So it actually might be a good thing. I'm gonna look at this with a silver lining. It might be a good thing to split the channel. Eddie, I can't imagine June flower didn't like August first flower. Yeah, no, the June flower was an absolute nightmare. The plant was it was gone. I think I salvaged 3 or 4 branches off of a plant that should have yielded close to a pound. I mean, it was a massive plant. It was a real shame that it didn't. I felt really bad. It's something an experience I'll definitely share with you guys in the future. I just kind of ran out of time this summer. As you're dealing with that one, you're just constantly stomping out fires all summer. You've got the field, you've got that plant, you've got the other 3. I've got life, taking care of the farm outside of everything, making sure that the farm operates. We also built a bridge this year on the farm. I was in the middle of that too in August. So just absolutely crazy. JC, thanks. Well, you're very welcome, JC, and I appreciate your support on the channel. I do appreciate all the comments. I see you in the comment section quite a bit, so I do appreciate that. That's way too early and hot. Yeah, it was way too early. What the problem was is it came from inside to outside. And now looking back, I know exactly what I did wrong. And I think it's strain specific. So lesson learned, always learning, never perfect. And, that's where the grower fatigue can come in. It's just like, man, I'm never doing that again, but I'm not going to give up. I got some more tricks up my sleeve coming up for the indoor grow, but I do feel bad because those plants, I started growing those in November and I had to cut them down in July and they were nothing but a pile of mold. They were huge, both were huge, but nothing but a pile of mold. It was a real shame. But luckily they didn't contaminate any other plants. They went to the compost pile. They're gone now. Great content, Steve. Well, thanks for subscribing, Steve. I do appreciate you up there in Toronto, Canada. And stick around for the indoor growth season, because I know a lot of my Canadian subscribers do a lot of indoor grows. I hear from them on the channel and the emails. So I appreciate you subscribing, Steve. But on that note, folks, unless you guys have any pressing questions in the chat, I think I'm going to get ready to close out the video. I've got some technicality issues to still work out here. I can see the camera constantly focusing in and out. Something I'm going to work on in the future. But yeah, now I can get back to live streaming. It's been a year and 4 months, I think, since I've done a live stream on the channel. So I'm super excited to get back to it with my new computer, and being out here in the barn and being right next to the grow room is cool as well. So maybe in the future we could get a sneak peek of the grow room as things get a little better on the technical side here. But I'm really excited that I'm able to live stream with you guys. I appreciate all the questions, and always leave questions in the comments. If you guys think about something later, you can always hit me up. I do appreciate that. Have a great weekend. You as well, JC. I share all the knowledge. Leave them in the comment section. I do appreciate it. Captain, I hope you have a great continued success as well. That's it for today, folks. I will see you in a video tomorrow, and take care.